Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to Astro Q&A with Vic DiCara.
Question 1.
What if a bad planet is exalted or in its own sign? Is it a good or a bad thing? Okay, first we have to realize that there's a difference between dignity and power. You can have powerful planets that are bad for you. That's awful when you have that. But you can also have bad planets that are weak. That's not so bad. Because even though they're bad, even though they have bad intentions, they can't do anything about it. And similarly, you can have good planets that are powerful. That's the best thing. Or you can have good planets that are weak. That's a little bit useless. They want to give you good things, but they don't have the ability to. So if you have a bad planet, for some reason it's bad. Maybe it's, for example, the lord of a difficult house or something. And it's exalted or in its own sign, it would be a good thing. Because it's dignified. That's the definition of dignified, is to act nicely. But if you have the lord of a difficult house that's undignified and powerful, that's awful. On the other hand, if you have a lord of a bad house that's dignified and powerful, that's great. You're going to get not the bad parts of those houses. You're going to get the good parts of those houses in a powerful way. If the lord of a house is weak, it doesn't really matter that much whether it's good or bad.
Question 2.
In Synastry, how do we calculate a conjunction or an opposition or a trine or so on? Is it by degree, or is it by sign, or is it by both? It's by both. The sign is the first consideration and the degree is the second. For example, my ascendant is Capricorn 23 degrees. My wife's ascendant is Cancer 11 degrees. So Capricorn and Cancer are seven signs apart. So by definition, that's a type of an opposition. The degree to which they align is going to determine the intensity of that opposition. So in our case, 25 and 11 is 14 degrees off. So it's a reasonably strong opposition. Not a weak one, not incredibly powerful either.
Question 3.
Where does the first house start? I've heard that the fifth house is 15 degrees to either side of the ascendant. So, if my ascendant is 27 Gemini and my moon is 1 degree Gemini, is my moon in the first house or in the 12th house? Well, different people will tell you different things depending on the different system that they use to calculate the houses. There's 3 different systems for calculating the houses. The most modern systems are dynamic, which means that the size of one house is not the same as the size of the other, and there's some logic behind that. The older systems are fixed width houses. Every house is exactly 30 degrees, but they're absolutely fixed to the earth. So the ascendant is always right in the middle of the first house, and that's what they're saying with the first house is 15 degrees to either side of the ascendant. That's called a fixed system. And then the oldest system, which is the one I use, because I love old stuff, because it makes so much better sense when you get right down to the bottom of it and you really get into it. The oldest system is the whole sign creates a house. The borders of space are already defined in the signs, and now these borders define the houses. And it's fixed to the earth. The eastern horizon determines the first house, but it's not absolutely fixed to the earth. So for example, if your ascendant is 27 degrees Gemini, then Gemini defines the first house. And a moon at 1 degree Gemini is in the first house. If you use a fixed house system, then a moon at 1 degree Gemini is not in the first house. If the ascendant is at 27 degrees Gemini, it's in the 12th house. But if you use a whole sign system, then a moon anywhere in Gemini is in the first house if the ascendant is in Gemini.
Question 4.
Birth certificates are often a few minutes off. So how important is an exactly accurate birth time? Now, people are going to be like, oh, we can get it down to the exact second, and that really makes a difference because we're so expert at astrology. But the truth is, we are not that expert at astrology. So for the most part, most of the reading of astrology can be done by simple things if you know what you're doing. Actually, if the more expert you are at something, the more easy it is for you to do it, and the less you have to dig into some arcane stuff, the more you can get the work done with the fundamental basics. That's real expertise. So really, when you're reading a chart, if you look at the main birth chart and you look at the moon chart and the sun chart and you look at the amshas in a general way, the divisions in a general way, you can get tons and tons and tons of useful information from that. So a few minutes of birth time change does not make much of a difference unless your ascendant is right on the border between two signs, or even maybe if it's right on the border between two navamshas, since the navamsha is a very important subdivision.
Question 5.
How important are muhurtas? If, for example, the birth chart describes marriage as a positive or a negative thing for a person, then how much difference would a muhurta make? Exactly. The muhurta makes a difference within the limitations of your birth chart. Nobody's birth chart says, no matter how bad you try to screw it up, your marriage is going to be great. Nobody's birth chart says that. Everybody has a sort of a range of karma. And within that range of karma, there's room for how you deal with the thing. Muhurta is an attempt to astrologically help you deal with the thing in a productive way, to do it at the right time. So if you do a thing at the right time and place, it'll be as best as it can be for you. If you do a thing at the wrong time in the wrong place, it'll only be as bad as it could be for you, right? If your marriage is destined to be great by your karma, and that's evident in the birth chart, then even if you get married at a totally wrong time, it can't be that bad. But if you get married at the perfect time, then it would be as good as it could possibly be. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share, and leave a comment below. You can ask your questions there too. And please visit my website, vicdicara.com, for readings, classes, books, links to my Facebook and blog, and all kinds of stuff.